Listen up, wrestling fans.
That's right. Listen up. My name is Tommy Stryker. Joining me is Taco.
What up?
And this is the official re-kick-off of Strong Honor. On this podcast, we're going to talk about New Japan, Ring of Honor, occasionally some Rev Pro, and occasionally maybe some other indie stuff. But this podcast kind of spurned off, or is a spin-off of our regular podcast that we do, that we just celebrated. We're celebrating 100 episodes of the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Oh, man.
Check that out at bestprowrestlingpodcast.com.
Yeah.
But so celebrating 100 episodes of that. Earlier this year, I started doing this Strong Honor podcast for the fanspodcast.com. For reasons that Steve the Fan, who runs the fanspodcast.com, he didn't have time to dedicate to all the extra podcasts. He's since
He's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy. He's got family. He's got jobs. He's got life gets in the way. It's understandable, but he has downsized his podcasting, and I was left with a hole in my soul because I really enjoyed doing Strong Honor and focusing on New Japan and Ring of Honor, especially since I started Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, just kind of learning and knowing.
This is like when Rhonda got her own spin-off show from Mary Tyler Moore.
Exactly. I fell in love with the product of New Japan and following Ring of Honor closely since starting the podcast, and we kind of got shut down kind of in the middle of, or kind of towards the beginning of the G1 Climax this year, but we covered the G1 Climax doing Strong Honor episodes on the Best Pro Wrestling feed.
The Best Pro Strong Honor.
Right. And sometimes we did just combo episodes of both, and that was okay, but we ended up having these really long podcasts. So now Best Pro Wrestling Podcast will be more focused on WWE. I think I'm going to keep the Lucha Underground over there for now, because who knows how long that will last.
We'll pick out the best through the week.
Sure. And we'll still talk some Ring of Honor and New Japan on there as well when it seems fit. But this podcast is definitely going to focus on New Japan, kind of number one, Ring of Honor in there number two, and everything else that kind of, anything that might involve New Japan or Ring of Honor stars. That's kind of where the Rev Pro is going to come into it.
If you have some local shit you want us to watch, send it our way.
There's that too. I've been talking about for months now, wanting to get into Progress Wrestling. I hear so many great things about Progress. We're just coming off of the Mae Young Classic. Just last week was the finals for that, and there's so many great stars from that that showed up in that tournament that I'd like to check out, like Tony Storm and Stardom and so many others, just to name one there. Piper Niven, another one that would be great to see more of too. But nevertheless, we're going to focus kind of on those three promotions on this show. Maybe some CMLL. I'm not making any promises. The Lucha Libre stuff for me, I mean, I'll check out Lucha Underground, but anytime I've tried to watch like AAA or CMLL, I'm like, what is like? Even more so, like when I first started watching New Japan, there was a bit of a shock to the system there. But even more so when I try to watch Lucha stuff,
you don't get no Ultimo Sexy coming out of New Japan.
Well, and just like the tag team rules being different, like when somebody gets thrown out, another guy can just walk in and be legal. And if you don't know that going in, it's like
insane.
What's happening here? And so I've tried to get into it here and there, but who knows? Anything's possible. We could get. I mean, Satoshi Kojima. We end every tweet or every Strong Honor podcast with the Kojima tweet of the week, with his fun English tweets once in a while. He's been in Mexico for like a month wrestling for CMLL now, ever since the G1 Climax got wrapped up. So it might be worth checking out just to see guys like him. Matt Taven has been really over in CMLL too. So. There's things there that are interesting anyway. I just haven't gone out of my way to really seek it out. I think
it's hard. There's a new network with something else on there, and Twitch even has that Wrestle Circus on there. It's putting on good shows. So it's so hard.
And Twitch just had the AAA. Speaking of Lucha Lucha Libre, they just had the AAA show on there where the Sexy Star debacle and all of that was on there. But nevertheless. let's get into the actual wrestling, what we're here to talk about, because there is a lot to talk about this week in the world of Ring of Honor and New Japan. Ring of Honor's got their big pay-per-view coming this Friday, Death Before Dishonor, live from Sam's Town in Vegas, and of course, New Japan, their Destruction in Kobe show coming up this Sunday. That is the 24th, the same day as No Mercy. Of course, New Japan's on early in the morning, so if you stay up late Saturday night,
so whip out those bootios, eat some New Japan.
Exactly. You can either stay up late Saturday night, watch some New Japan, or get up early and make a whole day of wrestling on Sunday. Watch it on delay sometime
Saturday
on Sunday.
morning cartoons, Sunday morning wrestling.
Exactly. So you can check that out before your No Mercy, or if you're just listening to this podcast because you're like, fuck WWE, you have all day Sunday to watch Destruction in Kobe. But let's talk a little bit before we get to Kobe.
We should throw out,
go ahead,
since it's we talk about New Japan on this one. That if you do want to subscribe to it, since it is towards the end of the month right now, it's the end of September,
sure,
you should wait till October 1st to subscribe. Save yourself a few bucks.
But what if you want to see Destruction in Kobe? That's the issue.
That is the issue.
Right.
You should listen to us then.
There you go. But yeah, you're right. If you sign up towards the end of the month, you're going to get double charged. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, they charge. They don't base off when you subscribe. They base it off first of the month. So
that is
just want to throw that out there in case you're thinking about it.
Right, and just in case you are new, it is njpwworld.com where you watch all of the New Japan shows. As well as, I should mention here,
Stardom also does a Japanese promotion.
Yeah, Stardom World, DDT.
They do the first of the month.
DDT has a service now as well. So lots of the Japanese promotions adapting the over-the-top, having their own website and putting their own shows out. If you are interested in Japanese wrestling, there is, if you go on Twitter and do a search for the Real Hero Archive, you can find lots of different Japanese promotions on there. All Japan's on there. Big Japan, all kinds of stuff, and you can even find some New Japan, some DDT, even though they've got their own over-the-top stuff on there. Nothing that you would pay for would be on there, but you can find some interesting nuggets on there as well. But I wanted to get back to, before we get into Destruction in Hiroshima from last week, I want to talk about the Access TV show. They have been playing pretty much the best of the best from the G1 Climax,
nice.
Basically starting from the beginning. And speaking of over the top and people cutting the cord, I know you have the Sling TV.
Yeah, I love it.
You can I noticed a lot of this. We're doing the free trial of the Sling TV this week, and I was just looking at it last night, and I noticed that I think you can get pretty much all of the G1 stuff that's been on Access TV on demand on the Access TV channel.
Nice.
So just do a search for New Japan on there, and you can find that, which is pretty cool. In case you've missed the G1 or new to New Japan and wanting to check it out, and you've maybe you haven't, maybe you're not up to speed on the Access TV show, and you're just hearing about it. So now you can kind of go back and check those out on demand. So. Anyway, so let's get into this Destruction in Hiroshima show from last week. Now, we've been talking all kinds of New Japan on Best Pro Wrestling Podcast the last couple of weeks, and on those old Strong Honor episodes. I do want to mention here, too, keep delaying and delaying and delaying. There will be eventually if you're listening to this right now, you're probably listening on the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast feed. There is going to be a Strong Honor standalone feed by itself, and I haven't decided yet whether or not to integrate BestProWrestlingPodcast.com in with a StrongHonor.com, have it all be one website, but you will be able to go to StrongHonor.com probably within the next week or two, and that will either point you to BestProWrestlingPodcast.com or its own standalone website. Haven't decided which way to go with that yet, but there will be a standalone feed for this, and there will be a standalone, well, at least certainly a web address, and I haven't decided whether that's going to be a shared website or not yet, but we'll get to that. If you want to maybe send me some feedback, send me your thoughts on that, at Tommy Stryker, spell that Stryker with a Y, and certainly at BPW Podcast or at Strong Honor, those three all on Twitter, of course. Now, right before we started the show, Joe stopped by the house momentarily. He had to pick up some equipment. He's going to be doing Best Pro Wrestling from home this week. But he mentioned, Tommy, your voice is hoarse. Had a bit of a cold earlier in the week. And now,
you actually sound fine right now, to be honest.
But now I'm very self-conscious about it, and I keep worrying that my voice is going to go out at any second. But
you're fine.
Nevertheless,
you're just going to sound better on future episodes.
Exactly. Or it's going to have that kind of that smoky kind of whispery thing.
Yeah,
almost.
So are you redubbing this episode 1?
No, I'm not going to
continue it on.
I think we left off at either 14 or 15, so this will officially be whatever order it was.
It's like you're just like going iPhone order. Just you can skip whatever you want.
We might as well start with 100, right?
What are numbers, man?
Exactly.
Numbers are a prison.
Maybe we should start, since New Japan was started in 1972. This could be episode 1970, just to confuse people. Like, how many episodes are there of this thing?
Strong Honor. 1973.
No, we will continue with the numbers that we'd already started on the previous version of it, and eventually all of that will be organized somewhere nicely. Currently, there is if you go to bestprowrestlingpodcast.com, and there's a menu button, you click on that, and there's a link to Strong Honor. You can find all the episodes, and it's kind of a mess. The fonts are all kind of weird and different, but they're all there. You can.
It's just sounding like a commercial now for Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
And old episodes, and we haven't actually talked about anything current this week, and we're like 10 minutes into this thing. So, but I promise we're going to get to we're doing it right now. Destruction in Hiroshima, and we're going to preview the Kobe show and everything else.
Oh yeah, there it is.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I told you we'd get to it. We eventually. I
had to cut you off, man.
I'm pretty sure all the housekeeping's out of the way. Either way, we're having a conversation. We're going to talk about New Japan and
New Japan.
Everything going forward here. So this Destruction in Hiroshima show, again, this was better, I thought, than the first Destruction show. Of course, there was all that criticism online and everywhere. Oh, it's the worst New Japan show.
Just need to move on.
It was the SmackDown of New Japan shows, the first Destruction show, but this one I thought kind of was a makeup of a lot of the shenanigans and whatnot, especially of the Suzuki Gun variety that took place in that first Hiroshima show, not Hiroshima Destruction show. This one being the makeup for that. So we'll kind of get to it as we kind of go through the show here. Opening match of this Destruction show was Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto teaming up with Jado, guys from Chaos there. But how about Goto and Yoshihashi in the opening match?
Yeah.
Kind of, coming off the G1 climax. Last year in the climax, Hiroki Goto went to the finals, and here he was. He had a good, decent showing in the G1 climax. Yoshihashi, he stepped up for me in the G1 climax, but here these guys are. Opening match, middle of this kind of second
stepping it up.
The second Destruction show. So I thought it felt like a demotion a bit for me for those guys.
Yeah.
But I thought Chaos kind of played heels early in the match. Jado is trying to fool Jushin Thunder Liger with a handshake, and he's not buying it. Yoshihashi kicks out of a Tiger Driver in the mask, but then submits Tiger Mask with his butterfly lock. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Yoshihashi and Goto kind of being moved to the opening match undercard kind of a thing here?
Well, they gotta step it up. Like I said, there's so much going on right now, and they just got off that quote unquote bad show. So you guys are openers right now. It's gonna happen. Right
on. Juice Robinson teamed up with David Finlay to take on Bad Luck Fale and Leo Tonga, who's in this on these shows taking the place of
so weird looking at that guy,
the injured Kenny Omega. Why is Leo Tonga weird to look at?
Just looking at his brother, he just looks like he's well developed wrestler, and then his brother just looks like I couldn't get enough points on my Creator Wrestler yet, so I got to build him up some more.
Now, wait a minute. Are you talking Tama Tonga or Tonga Loa? Or are you mistaking those guys with Bad Luck Fale?
No, not Bad Luck. No.
Okay. Yeah, but Leo Tonga, very green. Not quite up to speed of Camacho and Tama Tonga. And that's not. Camacho or Tonga Loa has not exactly shown himself to be better than much very good himself anyway. But this was an interesting deal here. They're kind of, obviously they're building up Juice Robinson for his big match coming up against Kenny Omega for the U.S. title. He did get the win with the Pulp Friction over Leo Tonga. And also, the announcers mentioned during this match that Juice Robinson and David Finlay might be teaming up in the World Tag League. So another interesting development. We talked about Tomoyuki Oka and Katsuya Kitamura, the two bigger young lions teaming up possibly in the World Tag League coming up later in November. So
not mad at that at all.
Yeah, interesting stuff to coming up next month.
Yay, another tournament.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If you're new to Taco and I talking about wrestling and tournaments and new to this podcast, over on Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, we've been having contests, prediction contests for like every tournament this year, and between all the New Japan tournaments and the WWE tournaments, there's been it seems like there's been a tournament like every week.
A lot of beer being drank.
Yes. So we'll look forward to that for sure. Then it was Yujiro, not Takahashi. Yujiro, Takahashi. I get Yujiro and Hiromu because they're both Takahashis. Confused,
dude.
But.
It's so hard to keep all their names straight still.
Right. Yujiro is the Bullet Club Takahashi. He teamed up with Chase Owens versus Roppongi Vice. This is Roppongi Vice's final match teaming together. Of course, Beretta moving up to the heavyweight division. And the story that they've told over the last few weeks now has been Beretta being in that heavyweight division, but Yujiro's kind of been giving him a hard time, and they've been really building up the tension between those two. Roppongi Vice do get the feel-good win here with the strong 0 over Chase Owens, but in those previous meetups, it was kind of either Yujiro getting the win over Beretta, or even if he didn't get the win, it was kind of Yujiro getting in the face of Beretta and kind of challenging him. Well, after this match, he grabs the mic and says, "Beretta, you're not fit for the heavyweight division. You're not ready for it, and I challenge you to a singles match, and that's going to be this coming Sunday, Beretta versus Yujiro."
Cool.
In Beretta's first singles match in the heavyweight division. I've told you I'm losing it. There was the first one. We'll see how many we can get through.
Yeah.
There. But, interesting to see Beretta get his first match coming up this week on Sunday.
Yeah.
Then it was Suzuki, Takashi Iizuka, and Taka Michinoku teaming up versus Togi Makabe, Michael Elgin, and Kota Ibushi making his return back after since his first time back since the G1 climax. Ibushi goes over with the Kamigoe over Iizuka after Elgin disarms the Iron Claw from Iizuka. Of course, it was Iizuka with the Iron Claw causing Elgin to lose in his match versus Suzuki in the Never Openweight title from last week. All those shenanigans causing the internet to have an uproar of upsetness.
Oh, they get so mad so easy.
So, but this is kind of this is it's building up not only Ibushi, he's going to have a big match coming up. We'll talk about here in a few minutes. So that kind of builds him up, and it kind of keeps the tension going between Elgin and Suzuki, of course, there. And even Makabe and Suzuki kind of faced off a couple of times in this match, kind of in the middle, having some nice back and forth strikes, and then even after, kind of staring each other down outside of the ring.
Everyone's pissed at Suzuki.
So, but maybe Makabe getting a shot at that Never Openweight title.
Well, Elgin just lost.
And right, and Makabe would be a new challenger for Suzuki, and Makabe's no stranger to those hard hitting, openweight style matches. I think those two could have a really good match. Then it was Taichi and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, two Suzuki Gun guys, taking on Ryusuke Taguchi and Ricochet, the Funky Future, for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight titles. This was a fun match.
It was.
Just under 4 stars for me. The heels outsmart early comedy spots from Taguchi and Ricochet. Taichi has the bell hammer, of course. Awesome Ricochet hot tag in the match. Taguchi misses a running funky weapon at one point, but kicks out of a deep impact. That's Kanemaru's second rope DDT. The whiskey bottle and the mic stand shenanigans come into play from Taichi and Kanemaru. Taguchi kicks out of the powerbomb moonsault combo. Taguchi does go over Yoshinobu Kanemaru with an ankle lock. They tease that several times throughout the match. Just great back and forth. A really fun match between these two.
Fuck yeah, it was, man. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I agree with you. It was a good, 4-star match.
Yeah, Ricochet looked awesome. Anytime.
They're just such an odd team, too. Just like when Taguchi's doing his fucking, run it in, and Ricochet's like, okay, like
he's the only one running, but usually there's like a team of 5, but Taguchi's just telling him to keep running and keep running.
I just love that's like, yeah, coach, okay. It's just little things like that. It cracks me up.
Just him continually hitting the guy in the corner. Ricochet does like 5 or 6 times. He finally gets tired. Then Taguchi goes to run, and then he gets hit in the face.
Right.
So
did he get bit in the ass too in this match?
Oh, I'm sure that was probably something like that. Sure.
It's always something with his ass.
Exactly. Well, the funky weapon. It's got to come into play. But yeah, a good fun match between all those two. Then we had the second edition of War Machine versus Guerrillas of Destiny versus the Killer Elite Squad. Lance Archer, I wanted to talk about him for a minute. He is such a great heel. When he comes out, he just looks like a dick. He's spitting water everywhere. I'm like, oh, fuck this guy. And so immediately he's just got that heat with me,
right.
So for him, I just think he's just a really good heel in that aspect. So,
well, no one likes to be spit on. Ask Joe.
Exactly.
He's not here.
We can't give him too much of a hard time. But yeah, Joe. Anytime there's a match where there's wrestlers spitting on each other, he cringes.
It is nasty.
It is
like,
gross.
You nasty bitch.
Yeah. I like the spot where Guerrillas of Destiny hit their finisher, but they're not the legal team, and so
that's right.
The referee's like, no, you can't cover. Davey Boy Smith is legal because they hit the finisher on one of the War Machine guys. I believe it was Raymond Rowe. They hit
Those
their
guys
finisher.
Fucking trip me out, man. Just the shit they do.
The Guerrillas.
War Machine. Yeah, just fucking. The more and more I watch these two guys, the more and more I get impressed. And like, god damn, they're badasses.
Well, yeah, fucking huge ass, 300+ pound Hanson doing like
Vikings, dude. Like,
well, him doing like them back handspring elbows and shit. It's just
like you see a guy like that tatted up, fucking Viking Norse shit coming out. You're thinking, Brock Lesnar, brute smash, and fucking, you're doing a handstand springboard, dude. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and War Machine getting the win with the fallout over Davey Boy Smith Jr. can kind of cements them. The first match, the first 3-way. War Machine kind of thwarting all the Suzuki Gun bullshit, and then same thing. War Machine standing tall here.
Yeah,
so
I like it.
We'll get the third match this Sunday. These same 3 teams. I heard it's going to be a tornado situation this time, so tagging not necessary possibly in the third matchup. So that will kind of like Guerrillas of Destiny when they hit their finisher but not being legal.
Yeah,
kind of adds a little bit of intrigue there with not having to tag in and out.
Adds that little spice too if you're keeping the same crew together.
In that third one, I'm going to bring this up on my internet machine here and make sure that is the case here. Let's see. I got the destruction card up. Where's the tag? This one doesn't say. It just says a 3-way on NJPW1972.com. So, but I did hear. I'm pretty sure I heard Kevin Kelly say that it's going to be a tornado style rules for this third meetup. So. I want to jump back to the junior tag match because afterwards Rocky Romero was on commentary helping out with the English commentary because Don Callis wasn't. I
didn't get to listen to any Japanese or American commentary.
Sure. But
or English, I should say.
Romero was out there because Don Callis couldn't make it to Japan. He was helping Kenny Omega with his rehab back in Canada. That was the story. But Romero's out there and he goes in and challenges Taguchi and Ricochet after the match. And this time it's going to be Roppongi 3K. It's going to be 3 times better than the original Roppongi Vice.
I hope he does a remix.
So I think this is going to be I think this is going to be at King of Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
But we shall see. Let me just make sure, because it might be, because Beretta's taken on him. Let's see. Let's make sure here. Let's just make sure the junior tag match isn't coming up this weekend. I don't know. I don't see it on here, so it must be at King of Pro Wrestling. So, and we don't even know who Roppongi 3K is yet.
I'm just hoping for a remix edition of that song.
Roppongi Vice. I kind of dig the Roppongi Vice song. So,
it's not
I hope it sticks around.
It's not a great song, but it's like a Limp Bizkit song. It just gets stuck in your head. And you just love it. By the way, love Limp Bizkit forever.
That's a good point. Then it was Los Ingobernables de Japón versus Chaos in a big 10-man tag. Now, 10-man tags, you think, okay, this is just a schmoz, but there really are a lot of interesting matchups in this match that were kind of previews for things to come. Of course, Okada is going to be taking on Evil for the IWGP Heavyweight title. That's going to be at King of Pro Wrestling. Tomohiro Ishii is going to be taking on Tetsuya Naito for the briefcase at King of Pro Wrestling. And then they've been building up this stuff between Hiromu Takahashi and Will Ospreay. Of course, Ospreay.
It's a big old kitty cat.
Hiromu teasing him for, quote, being a cat or whatever. So it feels like, and haven't heard anything official yet, but it really feels like they're building up these two for a singles match at some point, which would be cool because New Japan doesn't really do a lot of junior matches that are singles matches that aren't for the title.
Right.
So it'll be kind of cool to see these two go at each other. And it was after the Kushida match. Well, I guess that's coming up a little bit later here. But since I'm talking about it, Kushida did defeat El Desperado in what I thought was a 4-star match. But after that match, Ospreay comes out to challenge Kushida. Thought that was interesting because Ospreay has never beaten Kushida in New Japan or anywhere for that matter. That's kind of been the story. Even like over in England in tournaments, like he brings up in the promo. There was the What Culture tournament or whatever that just took place. Yeah. And Rev Pro just had a thing as well, but Kushida has always had Ospreay's number. And so even Ospreay, winning Best of the Super Juniors the first year he was in it, and going to the finals against Kushida. This has been an ongoing story here. So Ospreay goes out and challenges Kushida, but then here comes Hiromu Takahashi. As soon as he gets in the ring, he starts opening his mouth. He's going to start talking shit. Ospreay knocks him out with one punch. He's down. Now it's Ospreay and Kushida again. Kushida seemingly accepts the challenge. They leave, and then Takahashi throws a fit in the ring.
I do love what everyone's been saying online about that punch, though. That is so a cat move.
Very nice, very nice. But getting back to kind of rewinding just a little bit, Los Ingobernables did get the win in that 10-man tag. Evil hits the Everything is Evil on Okada. That's his big finishing move. But
it's my big finishing move too.
At the same time,
I threw you off.
Well, it was, I believe, the junior guy. I didn't write down who actually got the win, but it was Evil. Evil had a foot on Okada. Basically, it looked like Evil pinning Okada, even though Evil and Okada weren't the legal men in the ring. So I believe it was Bushi getting the win over one of the junior guys. In there. It was Bushi over Gato with the MX. Okay, I did have it written down. That's why. Okay, Bushi got the win over Gato, but it was Evil who hit Everything is Evil on Okada, kind of off to the side. So getting the visual pin at the same time in the tag match.
Getting us even more excited for that match.
Right, so kind of reiterating that idea that Evil kind of has Okada's number since the G1. So I like that aspect.
Yeah,
of it.
dude.
And then Ishii getting attacked by Naito on the ramp. Naito going after the knee of Ishii after the match.
How crazy is it that Evil's the one doing all this right now to Okada?
Right. I mean, we expect...
We had Elgin picked. Maybe Suzuki picked at times. Is it going to be Omega? No, they're going to milk this shit out. evil.
Well, he had that big win in the G1 over Okada. And,
yeah.
And he had an outstanding G1. He really did.
He's the one I had pegged to be, not have a great showing at the G1. So it just, it blows my mind right now. It's like, man, we're fucking just getting all these visuals and, title match coming up with
Don't let that kitty laser light show and that Halloween plastic sickle fool you. Evil can bring it in these matches.
Someone make him a better one, please? Like...
I've said it on previous podcasts. He just needs to come with a real sickle.
So at least Vinny Marseglia is coming out with a real axe nowadays.
Right, and TKO has the baseball bat
now. Digging it.
But yeah, the plastic sickle has got to go. Just waving your fingers like a child with laser lights. I've said this before.
Get a fucking fidget spinner.
He's got to have like a routine with the lasers that he does every time that like either syncs up with some video or some laser lights in the arena. Just something that's more cool than him just kind of randomly waving around lasers like he's trying to get Will Ospreay to chase his laser beam around or something because he's a cat. But nevertheless,
I hope they do something like that.
That'd be pretty fun. Kushida versus El Desperado. Very fun match. Great back and forth. Not much else to say about it.
That's fun.
Kushida or Desperado tries to get his guitar involved, but the ref takes it away. But then he just starts whipping him with the Azuka dog collar in the match.
Man.
Kushida gets aggressive and comes back. Decides to poke him in the eye with his aggressiveness. It's a diving hoverboard lock, hoverboard stretch muffler submission, the deep stretch muffler from El Desperado. Desperado at one point takes his mask off and throws it at Kushida.
So wild.
Right, so teasing the idea that the ref might stop the match because it's a foul to take off your opponent's mask, but that didn't happen. But
we got a low blow right after that.
Right, exactly, gets the low blow, and then Kushida finally getting the win with the Back to the Future. Just great stuff. Kushida is having a really good year, a big comeback since having the losing streak earlier in the year to Hiromu, and then the big comeback story in the Best of Super Juniors.
Good fucking match for Desperado too, man. I like that guy.
Right, and that was the thing is a lot of people kind of down on Desperado, kind of being a guy in Suzuki Gun.
Well, he looked good in the Super Juniors.
Right, and so I had good. I don't want to say super high expectations, but I expected a good match going into this, and they really delivered.
Man.
And I like, again, it like this probably would have been 3 stars, maybe 3.5 had Desperado won with all the bullshit, but because it's the feel good story, because the right guy won the match, he overcomes the odds.
Doing the fucking the eye poke, the dirty stuff, because he's not dealing with their bullshit. That's what I'm always saying. Like,
exactly. Yes.
What I always say about Suzuki Gun is, bullshit the bullshitters, beat them at their own fucking game. Don't let them overcome you with their dumb shit. Like, that's why I love that they do this fucking bullshit that they always do, always cutting corners, always just being garbage. Just, they're a gang, they're mean, they don't give a fuck. And I like that, Kishida's like, nope, eye poke, not doing that shit. Like, move on.
Right, it's the idea that you have to fight fire with fire. You have to be prepared because Suzuki Gun is going to bring the bullshit, and that's the exact story that the main event for this show told. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Zack Sabre Jr., another Suzuki Gun guy, and fucking Tanahashi was ready, man. He had his boy Elgin waiting in the wings because he knew the shit was coming. Very technical early in the match. Tanahashi counters with power and shows that he can hang in the grappling, the mat wrestling. He ends up frustrating Zack Sabre Jr. A great counter wrestling. Tanahashi works the leg. Tanahashi counters the triangle into a cloverleaf and back into the triangle, back and forth. Just very good stuff. Reverse dragon screw on the apron, hits the high fly flow to the floor. The ref gets distracted. Then he gets bumped. Then Suzuki comes out and attacks Tanahashi, just blatantly attacking him in the ring. The referee is getting beaten up outside the ring, but Tanahashi was ready. Elgin comes out, takes out Suzuki. And then Tanahashi gets the win with the third high fly flow. I gave this match 5 stars. I thought it was good. I thought it was great. Thought it was must see. A lot of people probably going to argue with that. Maybe argue high 4s, mid 4s, low 4s, whatever. For me, a 5. I'll probably.
I want to go back and watch it again.
To me, I'm a little bit loose and fancy free with my 5 stars, just because I regard a 5-star as this is must watch.
Yeah.
Go out of your way to see it, and I think it just stems from the conversations that we've had over the past few weeks, where we've talked about how the Suzuki Gun stuff can get frustrating.
Yeah.
And this told the story of, just like we said, you got to be ready for it. You got to bring your A game. You got to fight fire with fire.
Right.
Have your boy waiting in the wings, because Suzuki is going to come out and just start in with the ball.
Exactly. They'll do it right in front of the ref.
Exactly. And so
which I do love, because not because they're doing that shit in front of the ref, but that the ref is like, what the fuck, man? This is my ring. Like, I'm not going to DQ. Just get the fuck out. Can't be doing this. Well,
and the idea that this is a big match and the ref doesn't want to just throw a DQ out there because that sucks.
Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, you're just, duh.
Right. So let's talk about the upcoming Destruction in Kobe show coming up on Sunday. This is the final Destruction show. Kawato is teaming up with Tenzan to take on Katsuya Kitamura and Tomoyuki Oka, the 2 young lions that'll hopefully be teaming up in the World Tag League. But this is interesting to me, because Kawato is teaming up with the heavyweight here, the veteran Tenzan. Mm-hmm. So that team is obviously going to get the win. But will they? Because, Oka or Katsuya Kitamura could get the win over Kawato.
Good.
But then again, usually the veteran team gets the win, but does Kawato finally get a win here? Like, the story of Kawato is, like, usually after the hot tag, after the veteran guy gets tagged in and runs wild, Kawato's, like, demands getting tagged in, and he comes in and he runs wild, and he usually gets a couple of really close near falls, but then he usually ends up taking the fall.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It'll be interesting to see if that story continues, or will Kawato finally get a win over one of the other young lions, because that's usually the only way a young lion will win, would be over another young lion. But it'll probably just be Tenzan beating Oka or something like that, but it'll still be fun to watch.
Heck yeah.
The second match, Taguchi, Ricochet, Tiger Mask, Jushin Thunder Liger, and Togi Makabe versus Taka Michinoku, El Desperado, Taichi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Takashi Iizuka. So, Taguchi Japan versus Suzuki Gun there. So, should be fun. Those are usually fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yoshihashi and
bullshit.
Yoshihashi and Goto teaming up against Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale. So,
how do you feel about Chase Owens?
You know what, Chase Owens, I didn't think much of him, but over these Destruction shows where he's been just kind of on these mid-card, undercard matches, he's really shown some stuff. Like the matches where he teamed up with the guy who's been getting in Beretta's face, Takahashi, the other Takahashi, Yujiro. He looked good. He's looked good in these matches. I've enjoyed Chase Owens.
Haven't seen too much of him, but he just doesn't stick out to me, and he's more like
definitely not.
He's the apprentice of the Bullet Club.
He's definitely there to be the fall guy of the Bullet Club, much in the same way that Yujiro is. Yeah. So he's definitely that. He's not there to stand out to be a guy in Bullet Club. He's the guy there to to do the job in Bullet Club. But to me, like these Destruction shows.
I think of like Hangman Page in that sense too. But
a little bit.
He's like more of a badass.
I'd put Page above Chase Owens.
Yeah, 100%. But like I kind of look at them as the fall guys, but I definitely put Hangman Page like way above him. Obviously,
especially since Page is part of the Page and the Young Bucks having the 6-man titles.
He's like the fall guy with respect.
Yeah, definitely. But and that's all Chase Owens ever has been to me. Like I've never enjoyed his matches nor really disliked them. But he actually stood out to me a couple of times on these Destruction shows, and more so on the road to Destruction. Not as a guy that could move up the card, but it was just like, okay, Chase is bringing it a little bit here, and just showing some unique offense and just being crisp and being a good wrestler.
Yeah.
And for just kind of a throwaway mid-card match, it was like, okay, Chase is kind of going out of his way to bring it and entertain me in this otherwise throwaway match. So that being said, in a match with Goto, who I don't care much about, Yoshihashi, who has shown some good fire in the G1, but usually I don't care about him.
He looks like a kitty cat.
But I'm actually interested to see how Chase Owens looks in this match, teaming up with Bad Luck Fale versus those guys. So I'll be watching.
I like Fale, man.
What's that?
I like Bad Luck Fale. He's a big guy, just a lug, but it's just, I don't know, he's just badass, the underboss.
Yep.
Like, I can't hate on him.
And fucking going after the ring announcer every time he tries to say your name. It's just like, it's like there's no reason for him to do it, but he does it every time, and it's like, okay. And once in a while, he actually gets a hold of the ring announcer. Like, I think it was Wrestle Kingdom, he actually beat the shit out of the ring announcer. It was one of the bigger shows. It was like, oh, Jesus, he actually got a hold of the announcer. That's scary. So that's fun. Then it's the Beretta versus Yujiro Takahashi singles match. Talked about that. Then the three-way, hopefully, tornado tag match for the IWGP heavyweight tag titles. Then Elgin teams up with Hiroshi Tanahashi to take on David Finlay and Kota Ibushi. Very interesting matchup here. Oh, forgot to mention, after Tanahashi beat beat Zack Sabre Jr., Tanahashi actually called out Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi had the win over Tanahashi.
Oh, he called him out.
Yeah.
I thought Ibushi was doing vice versa.
No, Tanahashi called out Kota Ibushi because of the loss in the G1. Tanahashi wants to avenge that loss, so it looks like it's going to be Tanahashi versus Ibushi for the IC title at King of Pro Wrestling. Cool. This King of Pro Wrestling card, and that is October. I got a new whiteboard up in the room with all the upcoming shows. King of Pro Wrestling is on October the 9th, right after Hell in a Cell. It's a Monday show.
Yes, sir.
This King of Pro Wrestling is shaping up to be a hell of a show. Tanahashi versus Kota Ibushi. So this tag match, a preview for that. But that's, oh my God, that going back to the Access show, they just re-aired that one, the Tanahashi versus Kota Ibushi match. And so worth going back and watching that one. I actually didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I started to watch that show last night, and I ended up falling asleep. So not because of the quality of the show. It was just, I was sleepy, and so I had to go to bed.
You work crazy hours.
I do. Then it's Romero, Toru Yano, and Tomohiro Ishii taking on Bushi, Sonata, and Naito. So not a never open weight trios match, but this one again being a Ishii versus Naito preview. Again, that match taking place at King of Pro Wrestling. Then Ospreay and Okada team up against Hiromu Takahashi, and Evil. So again, the Okada and Evil angle going into their match at King of Pro Wrestling, and then hopefully the Ospreay and Takahashi angle leading to their hopeful singles match at some point that they've been building up with the kitty cat Ospreay and Hiromu Takahashi.
And Daryl.
What happened to Daryl?
I think I want to say Ospreay retweeted it on Twitter, but
he's stuck in the UK or something like that. I think that's what
someone saw him get snatched off like the announcer's desk or something. They're like, how is this not a mystery right now? I could have dreamt that, though.
Could be. Then finally, the main event for this Kobe show is Kenny Omega versus Juice Robinson for the IWGP United States
match.
title. Juice Robinson with the big upset win in the G1 Climax over Kenny Omega. So it should be a fun match. Of course, all the speculation.
It's his first big match, too, ain't it?
His
back?
Juice's first big match.
No, Omega.
Omega's first. Well, I guess Omega is supposed to be on the tour leading up like a couple of days beforehand. So he'll be in some tag matches probably, but this will be the first big match.
Yeah.
And so how will his knee react coming out of the rehab and the surgery that he had just less than a month ago? So that's New Japan, so lots to look forward to there. Let's get into some Ring of Honor now. Let's see if I got my Strong Honor sound bites here. Do I even have a Ring of Honor? Yes, I do. There it is. So yeah, we got to preview the Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view from Friday night. We'll talk a little bit of this week's Ring of Honor TV show as well, but I kind of want to save a little bit of the Ring of Honor TV show because I know Joe wanted to talk about the Marty Scurll versus Rocky Romero match.
Well, it's a good thing we talk about the best on there
from this week's Ring of Honor TV. So
maybe you should have showed up to work.
That was well, we'll talk about that on Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. So I'll save that match, but it was cool because Ring of Honor was from center stage in Atlanta, so those old WCW Thunder fans can reminisce and go back in time and revisit center stage. But Hangman Page did take on Kenny King. It's funny because the Young Bucks have been saying the hashtag Where's Hangman lately, and all of their Being the Elite episodes have been about where is Hangman. Hangman has disappeared. Of course, this was taped weeks ago, so Hangman has since disappeared since losing to Kenny King.
Yeah.
Of course, they're building up Kenny King for his big rematch against Kushida for the TV title.
I'm actually excited for that rematch.
Yeah, I have not been a big Kenny King fan.
No.
Has not done anything for me. But, he showed some really good athleticism lately. Ring of Honor's been getting behind him a little bit.
He's been working with some good names, though.
Yeah, and having a nice match with Hangman Page here. I noticed on Ring of Honor they called him, quote, formerly Hangman Page, which we haven't talked about here or anywhere else on any of the other podcasts. But having the gimmick name Hangman, probably not the best thing. Coming out with a noose and all of that, very insensitive. So it's a good thing that they're getting away from the Hangman gimmick. But that being said, Page he's been impressing me lately over the past few months.
Yeah, stepped it up.
Stepping up, having good matches, had a good one here with Kenny King on Ring of Honor TV. Cody had the final. I don't want to. They kind of framed it as the unveiling of the Ring of Honor here on TV. Although he unveiled it in a promo a couple of weeks back on TV as well, where he had the weird young Michael P.S. Hayes looking guy kiss the ring or whatever. But he did unveil that, and I liked Ian Rick Abani kind of talking about here on TV that you're focusing on this ring and unveiling this ring and having people kiss the ring. You've got the most dangerous man in Minoru Suzuki coming up this Friday. You got to face this killer, and you're preoccupied with this ring.
Ring.
So I did like Rick Abani talking about that there. I noted Cody was out there in his suit, but also cowboy boots. Kind of cool. Because they were in the Atlanta area.
It's for his pops.
In center stage, so I liked that touch. Big main event from this week's Ring of Honor TV, the Briscoes versus the Kingdom. Little bit of history here. It was the Kingdom that attacked Jay Briscoe a couple of weeks back with chairs and whatnot, doing the quote, the kayfabe concussion angle on Jay Briscoe. This one had Bully Ray out there on commentary talking about how the Briscoes and Bully Ray are now unified. They've got their shit together and they're ready to face the Kingdom in the 6-man match at Death Before Dishonor. That's going to be the number 1 contenders match to face the Young Bucks and Hangman Page later on that same night. So
it is that same night.
Yeah, it is. I have confirmed that not only
with your sources,
they're going to have Kevin Kelly talked about it and Rick Abani. I didn't know it wasn't Kevin Kelly. I heard an interview with Ian Rick Abani on Wrestling Observer Radio, and he talked about it there. So it is
sources.
Yeah, it is good sources. Right from Rick Abani. It is going to be the winner of the Briscoes and the Kingdom taking on the Hung Bucks, as it were.
The Hung Bucks, that's right.
For the 6-man titles, and as well as the Young Bucks taking on the Motor City Machine Guns for the Ring of Honor titles.
So everyone's pulling double duty.
Right, exactly. So I mean,
I like that.
In a sense, it's fair because everybody has to pull double duty. But interesting, will the Young Bucks will the Young Bucks keep all that gold? Will they lose some of the gold? Will they lose all of the gold at Death Before Dishonor?
Yeah.
It was the Briscoes getting the win over the Kingdom on this TV main event with the Jay Driller on TK O'Ryan. TK O'Ryan, this is his first his first match back on Ring of Honor television since that big injury earlier this year where he broke his leg doing a moonsault and landing on the railing.
Brutal.
For one of the pay-per-views.
Good to see him back.
Interesting to note, it was a pay-per-view that was in Las Vegas last time.
Oh, wow.
And so him coming back, having another big match in Las Vegas coming up this weekend. So kind of coming full circle for the Kingdom and TK O'Ryan. But he looked good. Didn't look to have a ton of ring rust. So fun to see him and Vinny Marcellia teaming up as a tag team and having a good match with the Briscoes here in the main event. So let's preview some other stuff from Death Before Dishonor as I take a sip of the water for the working man here. Thanks for providing the sound effects there.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Appreciate that. So we talked about Bully Ray and the Briscoes taking on the Kingdom for the #1 contendership. Chuck Taylor is going to be taking on Marty Scurll for the first time in Ring of Honor.
Chucky T.
Looking forward to that. That should
Copyright.
be really good. Kushida. Now, are they calling him Chucky T?
I was Chuck Taylor's shoes.
I suppose that's why they have to call him Chucky T.
No, I'm excited for that match, dude.
That should be
like
fun.
the more and more I see that dude, like both of those guys, to be honest. But yeah, Dustin or Chucky T or whatever the fuck Sex Machine, whatever you want to call him. Like that dude's so fucking fun, man. Like I'm so glad he's in Ring of Honor.
As mentioned, Kushida taking on Kenny King for the TV title. This is actually a rematch. They had a match probably about a month ago on TV, a couple weeks ago anyway, and that got interrupted by, what was it? Was it Bullet Club?
Bullet Club
guys.
Scurll and Hangman?
Probably. That
sure.
sounds
Let's
about
go
right.
With that.
So this is the rematch there. Jay Lethal versus Silas Young in a last man standing match. That should be very good.
Hell yeah.
Another no DQ style match. Jay White versus Punishment Martinez in a Las Vegas street fight.
I haven't been mad at that little feud going on for both of those guys.
Yeah, I really like what they've done with Jay White in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Him coming off being a young lion in New Japan. He goes to Ring of Honor. They gave him like a 6-month push without a loss. So and
I don't think he's had one yet.
And
I think he's been on tag teams I've lost, but I don't think he's lost singles yet.
That could be. But he has suffered some type of loss at this point because they did bring up that he was only undefeated for a certain amount of time.
Oh, okay.
So they brought
I
that.
might have missed that.
They said
then.
that on TV on the Ring of Honor TV show. I like what they've done with the push of Jay White. Jay White has looked good. He's really kind of what's the word? He's bulked up a bit.
Oh, yeah, getting thick.
Yeah, he's thickening up a bit. So
protein pokes.
And I don't know if he's poking the protein, but he might be amping up the shakes and the chicken breast. Maybe taking a page out of
amp them breast up.
Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say taking a page out of Cage's book, but he might be protein poking.
Oh, fucking right in his dick.
So who knows? But yeah, I've liked the Jay White push. Punishment Martinez hasn't done a lot for me yet.
This has been the most interesting he's been, though.
Sure. And I like that Punishment Martinez got away from the Taskmaster stuff that they tried to start. BJ Whitmer's been better in the commentary role. I should bring that up. He was on commentary again for Ring of Honor this week. But for the pay-per-view, sounds like it's going to be back to Colt Cabana. So that should be really good. Looking forward to Colt Cabana back on commentary. Of course, Minoru Suzuki taking on Cody Rhodes for the world title for Ring of Honor and the quote Ring of Honor. I completely expect Cody to retain here, but wow, what a cool thing it would be if Suzuki actually won this title, because he's rumored to go on a UK tour with Ring of Honor. I'm really hoping that Suzuki goes on the American tour that ends up in Chicago on the 15th, because I am going to drive from Minneapolis to Chicago. I am going to the show, mostly because, Kenny Omega is going to be there, rumored to defend the U.S. title. Right. Of course, the Young Bucks, a bunch of other New Japan guys will be there. I believe Kushida, some other guys from New Japan. So I'm looking forward to that show, but I'm really hoping knowing that Suzuki was going to be there. I want to hear that music. I want to fucking chant that shit. What is it again?
Kizni Nare.
Kaze ni Nare. That's what
There we go.
Kaze ni Nare. I want to be in the crowd doing that shit. I'm into it. And if I'm hoping that he is there, and if he wins the ROH World Title, I'm going to lose my shit. That to me is going to just be really cool. Because think about it, we sit here and we complain and we bitch about all the Suzuki Gun bullshit. He's not going to have any Suzuki Gun guys with him. And if
he's mean enough to fucking kill his ass still.
And if he does have the Suzuki Gun guys, it will be a surprise. There's a pretty good chance he could have Lance Archer with him, that being that Lance Archer is a stateside guy. I don't know if Davey Boy Smith Jr. stays over here or not, being that son of the British Bulldog. I don't know if he stays on that side of the pond or not, but you never know. But I'm kind of hoping that we get kind of the clean Minoru Suzuki match here, and I'm excited for it nonetheless. But it should be a lot of fun. I did want to briefly touch on, before we get out of here today, because I talked about it at the beginning of the show, I want to mix in a little bit of Rev Pro talk. I just kind of got caught up on some Rev Pro over the weekend, and today, actually, you and I watched the Cat. Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay versus the British heavyweight champion of Rev Pro, Zack Sabre Jr., in a non-title match, and fucking the Cat won. Will Ospreay kind of getting the upset win over Zack Sabre. I do find it interesting that Zack Sabre works in the heavyweight division in New Japan, is the British heavyweight champion, and Will Ospreay competes in the junior division in Japan, and was talked about. He has been competing in the junior, in the cruiserweight division in Rev Pro, and
Zack Sabre is the Cruiserweight Classic.
Right. Well, but Will Ospreay appears to be bigger than Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. got the upset win in this non-title match. Very cool there. So looking forward to those two meeting for that Rev Pro title coming up at some point, hopefully
really fun
in
match.
the not too distant future. Speaking of Will Ospreay, to just veer back to the Ring of Honor thing, it was Will Ospreay and Marty Scurll who signed those, quote-unquote signed. I don't know whether they signed deals or not, but certainly Marty Scurll has been making a lot of appearances for Ring of Honor, where Scurll has been, other way around. Scurll has been making a lot of appearances for Ring of Honor, but Will Ospreay has been kind of MIA from Ring of Honor.
Ever since that little won the TV title and Scurll got it, they had the rematch, and that was it. Right.
Ospreay has not really been around that much for Ring of, and not on this Death Before Dishonor card either. So, but I mean, he does have Ospreay does. He had that tour that he did of Australia, and he's talked about actually moving to Australia to help that scene flourish. So hopefully he is doing something like that, because as we've seen, all this great talent coming out of Australia, like the TM61s, lots of great women wrestlers coming out of Australia and New Zealand, for that matter, that we've seen not only in NXT but the Mae Young Classic. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Getting back to Rev Pro, I did get a chance to watch their Summer Sizzler show. Now, forgive me, I didn't take notes. I was sick over the weekend and took some time off of work, and so just threw this on, watched it, and kind of skimmed through some of it, but really enjoyed it. This had some Ring of Honor guys, had New Japan guys, and a lot of great talent from Rev Pro, of course. So this was a really fun show, worth the $8-9 a month you pay for the Rev Pro streaming service. So if you want to check it out, go ahead. Dalton Castle was on the show, had a really cool entrance, but I ended up kind of skipping through the match just because it kind of they spent
same old shit.
Well, they spent the first 5 minutes, just kind of goofing off and screwing around. So I ended up skipping that, but it looked like it ended up being a nice long 15-20 minute match, so probably worth going back and watching. So there's that. Other stars from that show, Jushin Thunder Liger took on Josh Bodum in the match, which was on the show, which was kind of a rematch because they had a tournament earlier that earlier in the summer, they had a J Cup Rev Pro did where Jushin Thunder Liger upset Josh Bodom. So this was Josh Bodom, who's the British Cruiserweight Champion, getting his revenge on Jushin Thunder Liger. So a fun match there. The Briscoes were on the show. Those guys looked good. Zack Sabre Jr. had a really great championship match defending his title, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, God, I'm blanking on. There was a big main event. Oh, Marty Scurll versus, of course, Rey Mysterio Jr. That was the big main event from the Summer Sizzler. So those two getting in there, and it's everything you could imagine. Those two working their signature spots against each other. So a lot of fun. Worth checking out, in my opinion. So there's that. So on that note, let's wrap up the show with the Kojima tweet of the week.
Now it's time for the Satoshi Kojima tweet of the week.
You can follow Kojima on Twitter at cozy_lariat. 2 weeks passed since I came to Mexico. Every day there are various events, but I am happy. Thank you.
Such a nice guy.
He's very nice, and I'm looking forward to him getting back to Japan so he tweets more in English.
Right?
He's been tweeting so much.
He's so cozy.
He's been tweeting a lot, but mostly in Japanese. Kind of surprised he hasn't thrown out some Spanish tweets for his Spanish.
Oh, I'm talking about some tortillas and stuff.
Right, he's part of the bread club. Tortillas would fit right into that. But nevertheless, hopefully, it's good to see him doing good stuff over there for CMLL. So anyway, follow me on Twitter at Tommy Stryker. Check out our other podcast, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, where we talk about WWE, NXT, everything else.
The best.
That is the best of professional wrestling. Check that out, bestprowrestlingpodcast.com. Follow this show at Strong Honor, and you can eventually go to stronghonor.com. Taco, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Snapchat, Twitter, at HGREV Taco.
And that's going to do it for Strong Honor this week. Welcome us back to the internet. We're back.
Yeah.
And be sure to check out episode 100 of Best Pro Wrestling Podcast and all of that. Bye.
Peace.
It's wonderful.
Love in